It's in here. It's going to come out in you.
The only thing we just rely on is election campaign, and then we bring up leaders. To the point of
it's from my village.
The legislative supposed to be
Christian. You understand? They go to churches, they go to mosques.
No. That's one of that's the problem we have. That's the problem we have.
But there's money in the country, just that we don't invest. We don't try to make money.
Every human being, we want more than less. In economic theory.
Very good morning to you all. It is Saturday, end of the week. Daddy Chris is here from the group control. This is the weekly bulletin on Srtv. And guess what? Today is packed full. I'll be joined with a special guy. You have met him before. You're going to see the other side of him today. You know, when Richard comes on the show, he comes in clean, ready to rock us through the day. Today is a very difficult topic, and I hope you are going to be very patient. And I hope we also have your clean mind, your open mind to address this issue. I call it a very difficult issue, and I don't think everybody will be ready to look at this. And I really want to say, please, when Fela want to say certain things, Fela will say, please look at this issue with an open mind. This construction right opposite you today, look at it with an open mind. Because if you don't, we will only end up quarreling. You know that the Chris is not afraid of quarrels. But the topic for today is educated illiterates. And many of us, and perhaps it took me time as well to ask myself if I am actually educated, who is an illiterate. And these are things we're going to try and look at today. Hopefully, by the time we finish this difficult topic, you will be able to re-examine yourself and will be able to re-examine our society. Hopefully, government will begin to re-examine our curriculum and will begin to assess. You see, the essence of doing anything is to get a result. If there's no result, then we have a problem. And then if there's no result, maybe there's need for us to re-examine. Having said, if we don't learn and unlearn and relearn, then we are not educated. We're going to come to that today. Well, as I said, I have Richard with me. Richard is going to rock the floor today. Richard, hey, how you doing, young man?
Very well. Thank you.
All right, good. Well, a lot is going on. Thank you for joining me this morning. Like I said, we'll be missing you, and good to have you back. Welcome back. So today is a day that I said we should look at some of the very difficult topic, and we'll be looking at who is an educated illiterate, because it's like we have a couple of them everywhere around the world, and we'll be looking at. Hopefully, when I finish this with you, they'll be able to examine themselves. But before we go into that, a lot is happening in the politics right now, Richard. A lot has happened. Donald Trump re-elected President of the United States. What's your take?
I wouldn't. Well, it's a little unbelievable that looking at all the stakes, especially what happened after the last 4 years when he came out of power, and however he managed to get back to power, or however Americans managed to bring him to power, is something of great concern.
Yes,
it could mean a spell for hatred, or a wish for something that cannot be done by other people. We all know how he behaves, how his utterances are, how he cross paths and get things that cannot be done diplomatically or by policies. So somehow we all have to wait and see.
It's amazing. Richard, on this very particular video, they said the illiterate of, we don't know what they're talking about. But this is trending. I don't understand this America. They have their own ways. But perhaps, Richard, it's the economy they're talking about. And there's this big disparity between the economy as it's run by the conservative and it's run by the Democrat. What do you really think? Don't you think it's fair to say that, okay, the Republicans, they run the economy better than the Democrats, especially in the United States?
I think that unfinished statement there, that quotation over there, is actually referring to the American right,
Yes.
we would not be considering Donald Trump because whatever he is did not bring him to power, but people actually voted to bring him to power. So it's I would say is the illiterate of Americans.
Yes, I agree with you. So, but what I'm saying is that, are you saying that the economy have nothing to do with this election? People were voting. People were. It's like the Democrat didn't actually run the economy well, and now they want to go back to the Republican.
You see, when you look at the scope worldwide, America cannot, as rich as they are, they still make their money from other entities, especially the poorer ones, to continue to be rich. People, countries are getting smarter. You will not forget about the introduction of the BRICS, which is also taking a chunk of the dollar dominance from our world economies. That is not to have been a good thing for the Democrats. That will shake the economy a little bit. On the other hand, the last 1 year of the Israeli war against the Palestinians have been very, very worrying for the current government, which and how the way he dealt with it was so much kind of policy that America set up their eyes on. So his actual intelligence, like we will come to the topic, his own wisdom and insight of the matter was lost. Therefore, going with policies. This is a very big factor. If you look at Donald Trump's campaign, he didn't run a policy. He didn't mention any policies.
No.
He only mentioned things that he will be doing, like cut taxes, cut fuel, which he's done before. But we wait and see, because the times he did it are different from these times. These times we have a real challenge. The BRICS is becoming a real challenge. I actually read something this morning about Nigeria being welcome to the BRICS. So it's cutting deeper. It's getting close. So he will. The rhetorics have got him to power. Let's see how he initiates his rhetorics and his to-be ideas.
Yes, but Richard, there are two things that is happening in the world at the moment that is of concern to everybody. One is the war in Ukraine, and the other one is the Middle East, the Israelis and the Palestinians. You see, I kind of have my reservations with regard to how the Biden administration actually decided to go with Ukraine to fight Russia. I remember very well of Paul. Why was the Secretary of State? He said America must not go into anything they cannot finish, and if America should go into anything, they should make sure they finish it. You understand? That was his very words, and I wonder whether that philosophy or that ideology is still in place here. You go into a war with Ukraine with the intention of defeating Russia. You understand? I didn't understand. I didn't quite understand that, and I kind of respect their position with the Middle East. What's your take in this too?
You see, the centuries-old idea of money. Money does a lot of things. Money does not complete all things. The idea of militarization, the existence of weapons, the existence of super high-tech weapons and all that is a little bit confusing when it comes to entering other people's territory. I do remember an article that when they a spy tried to use another country's military staff to divert. The person said, "I need my family to come around with me." The Western's ideas of family is your children and wife. Other people have very extended ones. Africa, Middle East, they have extended family. Even Italians have they are one of the Western.
Italians are more Africans, they're closer to us. Yes.
So when we talk about family, we talk about cousins, we talk about grandma, we talk about grandma children, we talk about uncles.
We have marital cousins, all of them come to play.
Exactly.
We have the marital ones that come to play. Yeah.
This is where Americans are always entering wars. They are entering wars without knowing the actual culture, the traditions, the beliefs of those countries. So in the end, they damage or destroy the country somehow, and find a way to come out without finishing the war. Now let's come back to the Ukraine stuff. I believe the West are only using Ukraine to test the powers of Russia. That's what I believe this is all about, because there is absolutely no reason for this to go on and on. But again, American policy supersedes their leaders' wisdom. So it kind of push you in a direction as a leader, other than Donald Trump, to do things other than the policies, what the policy actually requires. When he was saying he can stop this war within 24 hours of his tenure in government, in fact, I believe him, because he's going to do something nobody will do. He's going to do something, he was going to override the policies and somehow makes common sense and force works. This is where power and riches actually plays, not following the policy and relying on your money or your weaponry, which more than a year now, as great, as strong as America claimed to be, this war is raging. And who is losing? Russia is not losing. Russian territory has not been touched. American territory has not been touched. The European territory, none of them has been touched. The destruction is in Ukraine. It's nowhere other than Ukraine. So you can see what the puppet someone has created to test someone else's powers, which is good for who? Is money, pumping money in and destroying countries. After that, you rebuild it. This is not going to explain or show your strength or your powers, because your powers should actually come from completion and accomplishment of something you began
to do. Yeah, and that's that before because we're going to go to the Middle East. But again, does that not test the intelligence or the populace, the American people voting now, that sometimes I think one may make one mistake that only 23%, actually 21% of Americans have international passports. So they live, most of them they don't know anything. They don't know what is happening outside. You understand? And they are within their country. Sometimes we see Americans, we think all of them, they are so exposed. They have not left America in their life and they don't even intend to. You understand? So these are the same people, if you're talking about foreign policy, it doesn't concern them. It's what it's going to put food on their table. And look at Donald Trump, it appeals to them. They're going to destroy our country. They're going to destroy our country. We're going to take our country back. I'm asking myself, which country are you taking back? Who is destroying your country? And it's kind of confusing, but this is the thing that got him elected.
The irony and the one fact of political rage to get people's idea is create the lie, say the lie, continue saying the lie, and the lie will become the truth.
Become truth, yes.
The facts are there.
Yes.
But someone is adamantly on and on and on and on about, I will make America great again.
Yes.
I will reduce fuel prices.
Yes.
I will stop the war in Gaza. That person
I'll close the border. He's going to close the border all of a sudden.
I'm going to close the border. Look, America depends hugely on farming. And these farming works are done by immigrants, most of them undocumented. So these are some of the things, when you go into it properly, you can see it's a rhetoric. All he's going to do is to deport a couple of hundreds over the next 2 years, yes. And more millions still remain.
Yes,
because it cannot be done. It's simple. It cannot be done. You cannot deport all undocumented migrants from a country. It cannot be done, because one, some people will have some skeletons, some things that keep them there, even though if you don't want to bring them into the books. Some people are needed. They are very important. Look at American fields. American farm fields are huge. They are country size when it comes to Europe. You see, people's farms are country. And who's going to work in them? Not everything, not every cultivation, not every harvesting can be done by machinery. A lot of them are done by man. And he knows it. He knows it. Some of the people who voted for him, it's just like any other election. When people hate you, they don't care where they're going to. They don't care what will happen afterwards until he's there. It's the same American people who removed him. Now, the one thing that was so uncomfortable for me was when he was pronounced a winner. One thing came to my mind. I said, now there was no cheating, right?
Exactly.
Now you
We're
want
coming to that. We're
this is
coming to
where
that.
you've been
Before you
bugging
was saying there
and
was
bugging.
cheating.
You see, this is there to see. We are there to see it, but you can clearly see this guy did not win on politics. He won hearts of people. He said things people wanted to hear. So one way or the other, he is not too responsible for his words.
No, I agree. I agree. Anyway, let's quickly shift to the Middle East because this is something nobody want to talk about. It's a very sensitive issue, but the Kofi Annan in those days described the two people there, the Israeli and the Palestinian, as set of people that lack the civilized code of conduct. All right, the killings and killings and killings. Look at how many people that have died. I agree. The people, the Hamas, they went into Israel killing people in this community. Now the Israelis are back killings. They put S on it now. At the end of the day, Richard, I am sitting there wondering, what a world we're living in. I thought these were things they talk about on television or things we heard about in the olden days, what Hitler did. But it's happening in our time.
It's a little bit difficult right now. Over the past few weeks, I've been concentrating on something to do with the past Arab leaders and the Jewish leaders, and I come across something that was bothering my mind all the time. What I can see from my opinion is, if we talk about anyone who don't want peace, you'll be talking about Israel, not the Palestinians. History have told us what happened in the Oslo Agreement when Yitzhak Rabin signed the historic peace with the Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. As great as the world saw, there's light at the end of the tunnel, that because there was going to be lasting peace. You have your land, you have your sovereignty, we have our land, we have our sovereignty. That was that would have been the end of to say all this.
Which Clinton did. Clinton, credit to Clinton.
But they killed him. They killed the Jewish man, Yitzhak Rabin, who initiated this. That tells you, if you put that on the side, going to Iran to kill the Hania is one thing. Hania was leading the negotiations to return the Jewish hostages. He was leading it. So if you put a lot, not to say a lot, there's a lot going on. If you put these two things side by side, you ask yourself, so who don't want peace? Who does not want peace? And look at the map of 1948 or 1960, whatever, when the Intifada, the Six-Day Arab War happened, the size of Israel as it is, and what is it today? If you look at countries like Egypt, if you go down to Sudan, what you want to see is the people, the color of the people, the behavior of the people almost look like the way Egyptians originally were. But now they are almost white. They are almost white Arabs because of the influx of the Palestinian migrants. Because when they leave after this war, I guarantee you they're going to have half the size of Gaza. This is what Israel have been embarking on, gradually drawing them away. Jordan have insisted not to take more refugees from Palestine because when they leave, they don't come back. And if you look at where they push them from, they don't push them from the middle or the border with another country. They push them from their border, thereby extending it, giving the chance to go on and on. The steadfastness that America have made themselves support of Israel, irrespective of who is wrong, they know it, but their policy supports them. So when it comes to this, it's kind of an anniversary stuff. Every 2 or 3 years, we have to experience this because presidents, leaders flourish in this. Netanyahu, for instance, is flourishing in this kind of situation. If as much as I believe in them, I have read about Israel's military might, the wall they've built around themselves, the Iron Dome, you name it, the military, the Mossad, the whatever, the different intelligence groups in Israel. If you look at all these and head Palestinians, Hamas, unproperly trained militants crossed over to Israel for over 12 hours and massacred Israelis without any soldiers around, and they were able to go in, do what they did, and bring in 250 people. What comes to head? Someone is behind it. Someone got more than that to deal with. This is not the job, as I see it, the job of Hamas. Someone infiltrated and used them. This is why it was possible. It wouldn't be possible if this was possible. Then Israel is very vulnerable, because Hamas is not a country. Hamas is not even a military. It's a militia.
No, there's some little militants, you know.
You see, so you can see the way our heads have been turned around to believe something, but we don't have the wisdom to think otherwise. We can't critically analyze things, because if we have that, if we can critically analyze it, we don't have the platform to showcase what we found. It's evident that it looks like the Palestinians are wrong here, but they are the weakest ones, and they will want peace. They know the might of Israel. They know who support Israel. They know they cannot fight America. They cannot fight Israel. They know that. So why would they start the fight with them in the first place? They want a land. They want peace to live on there. If this is true, then why do we exchange 1,000 and 250 people for over 70,000 lives? This is what is going on, and it looks like only a handful of people, a handful of leaders, are able to actually kind of saying something about it, but not really saying something about it.
Yes, they're saying something about it, but not really saying something about it. That's the right word. And it's amazing. Sometimes I sit down and I say to myself, okay, the United Nations has a position on this. And sometimes I don't want to be the Secretary General of UN, because anytime he says something, Israel will actually declare that, in fact, come and move your people from here. You're telling UN to come and move their people from wherever they are. So, is the Israeli more than the United Nations, which is supposed to be the world? If the world is saying, because that's the power of the UN, if we are made to believe so, that the UN is the world power, that is what the world says, what UN is saying. If that is what UN is saying, who is Israel to tell the United Nations to move their things and get out from there, that whatever they see, they will take it?
You see,
they went as far as actually attacking the Secretary General of the United Nations.
The only people, the only country Israel fears or listens to, let me use the word listens to, is the United States of America. If America says, don't go here and kill, they will not go there and kill. But if they want the person, if they want to kill the person there, they will wait till the person leave the country. It's evident how Hania was killed. Hania have been living in Doha for 5 years. There is an agreement in place between Israel and America and Doha, Qatar, that the Israeli operatives, the spy operatives, the Mossad, the whatever, should not attack any Hamas personnel in Doha. That's why he lived there for 5 years and nothing happened to him. But look at where he was killed. He was killed right in the presidential compound. Israel is showing force. They're showing they can get you wherever they want. And this is not started last month.
Yes.
They've been doing it. They've been doing it forever. They have the resources, they have the capacity, and they have the backing of someone who talks about freedom. The person preaching freedom has given another person the right to kill, but not in some places. You can kill don't go there and kill these people. You can kill them anywhere they want. And the irony is, we know the UN have their hands behind them. The United States is the highest contributor to the United Nations, getting it run. The state of Israel have decided, if you touch them, if you talk about them, they come at you. They come to the head.
Yes.
The ICC head, the judge who is supposed to deal with this this genocide case, they've managed to level a case against him that he's been involved in sexual misconduct with a colleague, thereby suppressing him and depressing him. This is the tactics. You might think it's not possible for a country to do such a thing, but it's part of the tactics. So we have a judge who have been dealing with this matter for about 6 months, who've been reading files, been studying evidence and everything. And all of a sudden, it's been an allegation of such has been leveled against them. So there's a disruption. These disruptions stop people from going forward, from them being accountable for anything. And this is what has been. I forgot to mention one thing about the reason people have to wake up and understand that if anybody don't want peace, that would be the state of Israel. Because we remember what happened in 2005. 2005, Hamas led a campaign. They won the elections. Israel and America watched them campaign. The whole world watched them campaign. When they won, they said, we don't want him. The person was campaigning right on your doorstep.
Yes.
This is you see, anything that happens to bring peace, it's not Palestinians who destroy it. It's the Jewish who destroys it. Anything. It was so fascinating when there was only one question that Yasser Arafat asked in 1995 when Yitzhak Rabin was shot, because we just come from the peace treaty, which was historic. We were looking forward to implementing it, moving forward, and the man who spearheading it has been shot dead. So the question was it a Palestinian? No. Was it an Arab? He said no, it's a Jewish man. That's when he was calm, because now he knows it didn't come from them. Because you can see systematically, anytime the peaceful treaty, a peace is in sight, it's not the Palestinians who try to sabotage it. It's the Jewish people who try to sabotage it. So you can see the wish for this to go on. Because as soon as this war is over, there's no need for Netanyahu again. If I were you, what will I do? I'll keep it going. If I want to say
Netanyahu is more relevant. He's going to remain prime minister for years.
As long as
and he's talking about democracy. We'll come to that. Anyway, what should we expect from Donald Trump now? Now the Middle East is what it is. What do you think we're going to see? What is going to be?
I think he's come at the wrong time, because he's going to get credit for something for not doing anything. The damage has been done. I'm not sure if there's any Palestinian left to be killed anymore. So if the war has to stop on January 7th, when Donald Trump has taken over office, if the war had to stop, it will be on his watch, but it will not be his work.
That's true. Anyway, that is let's take a look at that. We're coming back to that as we deliberate more on today's topic, because it's really disturbing. Let's go to the topic of today, Richard. And it boils down to using this American case. Very important here. This guy is saying here, let's take this quote for instance. Let's give the audience opportunity to read it. He said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Some part of it is missing. Those who cannot learn, good. So the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And this is a very big one, Richard. Big topic to talk about. Are we illiterate? Because look at what is thrown at our face. We can see it, it's clear. But we just see things that is thrown to us. We don't ask, we don't reason, we don't ask questions. Let me get you this. I'm gonna go, let me play back to Nigeria. When the white people came to Nigeria, there's this River Niger, if you're close to our area. The River Niger it's been there, our parents were there, that's where we were fishing and all that. Then when the British got there, they said one Mungo Park discovered River Niger. But we were there at the river before the British man came. And when we were in school, this is what is really annoying. When we were in school, Richard, primary school, they taught us, who discovered River Niger? We would say, Mungo Park. Who discovered River Niger? Mungo Park. Now you can blame the British for saying that Mungo Park discovered River Niger. But those of our elders, and Nnamdi Azikiwe was already educated, Awolowo was already educated, they could not change the curriculum. Down to my days in primary school, I was taught that Mongo Park discovered River Niger. But my parents were already in River Niger, meaning we don't learn, we don't ask questions, we don't relearn things. It's what is thrown to us. Like what you've been analyzing to us with what is happening between the war between the Ukraine and Russia, and what is happening between the Palestinians and the Israelis. We just take what is thrown at us. We don't ask questions, we don't think. Are we not the educated illiterate of the 21st century?
We have been educated by some theoretical way, just understanding we've been to school or we have some education, not knowledge. I use the word some education, but no knowledge. The irony is when I always make this example that when someone have crossed paths, have done something, correcting themselves, making mistakes, moving on with it for a very long time before they got it right, or they are in the path of getting it right. When you start the same journey, you don't need to do the same. You can catch up from there where the person have reached and continue from there. You see, when the story you said about a British man coming to Africa to discover River Niger, what is the meaning of discovery?
I don't know.
How did he discover it?
I don't know.
Was he in the middle of a jungle where nobody have ever set their eyes on?
He come to discover us.
If you look at it, and you can see why is this story even in a textbook in Nigeria?
Exactly.
It shouldn't be there. Because the questions we are going to be asking is, did anybody ever set their eyes on that river before this man came to Africa?
Good question.
If someone did set their eyes on it, then why is he the person to discover it? He did not discover it. Or is he the first foreigner to have seen it? Is that what the discovery means?
Probably not. The Portuguese were there earlier.
So the irony of asking questions. You see, whenever someone is trying to push something wrong on you, the moment you start asking questions, they are not comfortable.
No,
they are not comfortable not just because you are challenging them, because they are lying. So the more questions you ask, the more facts will come out. But we the educated, not the learned, the educated.
Maybe that's the word. Want to be educated and ready to be learned. Good.
We don't learn. We educate ourselves, because when it's given to us, we take it as it is.
Like rote learning. They say what
That's it.
We don't know what it means. Yes.
If you doing learning, you do learn. Someone came to Africa one day and said they discovered something that has been there centuries before he came. We've learned that. Okay. Yeah. We have to unlearn that, because it's falsehood. Because now we have critically thought about it and analyzed. We have reasoned that no, this man came when our forefathers were already using that water for food. They were irrigating their farms with it. They were bathing in it. So we have learned.
There. Otherwise, livelihood was there.
There was no livelihood there.
That's why we're drinking water.
So what we do, we have learned it already. We have to unlearn it and relearn it. How do we relearn it? Now we can go back and see who were the first settlers of this place. What brought them there? How did they call it? Is it because they did not have the notebooks and pens to write it down? That's why their names have been lost in history. This is the process of relearning. The things you know already. If you go back to it, you would know there are certain things you mix whilst you're reading in the first place. That is relearning. You read between the lines, outside of the box. This is the process of relearning. You can't keep whatever you think you knew 20 years ago and go out and argue about it, because you will be classified as a fool, because things have passed, things have changed, people have advanced. So whatever you've learned, you can relearn it or unlearn it. You don't be static. You don't keep it that way.
Learn it, then relearn it. I like that, Richard. So let's now bring us to where we want this topic to really be. The question is, how do we learn? In fact, we've already learned Africa. How do we unlearn Africa and relearn Africa? Because this is the topic of today, Richard. Let's look at the religion first. Today, we are all Christians. or perhaps we are all Muslims. Before they came, Richard, there was the African traditional religion. In my language, we have a name for God. It didn't come with Christianity. It did not come with Islam. Meaning my forefathers already knew God before they bring in Christianity, before they bring in Islam. But today, in Africa of today, if you say you believe in your African traditional religion, you are what? You are a caste. Have we really unlearned and relearned, Richard?
We have not. In fact, we continue to live in our slavery mentality that we was dumped into our heads, and the whosoever tries to do any sort of critical thinking becomes a problem, because critical thinking begins with analyzing what you are told. I mean, thinking about what you were told, asking questions about what you were told, the ifs, the buts, the when, the hows, when all these questions surround a particular topic or a particular belief, that is when you start getting what is actually being given to you. We have not learned. We are not prepared to unlearn, and we are not prepared to relearn. We are not. The common reason is we are lacking something about less than a 10-letter word called critical thinking. We cannot move on. We cannot move on. We cannot become full-fledged human beings, fully independent human beings, if we cannot do critical thinking. This might be the difference where we are with the Western country. You can't give them something just like that, and then they take it. You can't. When we come to religion, it's one thing. When we come to democracy, it's another thing. Democracy from the West is probably working because they've gone through certain processes, certain humiliations. Questions have been answered.
Yes.
People fear.
They've been adapted to their system. They don't just carry it as it is. Yes, America took it. They took democracy in their own way. They choose to practice the presidential system of government, which is working for their terrain. The British are using the parliamentary system of government, which is working for their own terrain. These are people that have learned the concept is beautiful. We're going to make it our own. We've not done that. When it comes to democracy, I was coming to that.
I believe in the early 2000s, I think somewhere in the early 2000s, in the Italian form of democracy, they had about 5 prime ministers within a year. You see, they have made a system that works for them. They've asked questions. They've done things. What if this becomes that? What if? What if? What if? So we do it this way. Exactly. We don't have the what ifs. We don't have the what if. So if you are fortunate enough to have a president in any African democracy, if you're unfortunate enough to have a president who cannot perform, you have to wait for their 4 years or the 5 years. This is one of the issues, because we are, even though we've been practicing it, we are still not asking questions. We must ask questions. Someone have thought about something. Let's assume it that way. Someone have thought about something and have presented it to you. You can't just think that person is respectful. That person you've not heard any bad thing about the person, so it's got to be right. No, that is the person thinking. Have you thought about it? You also have to take it and think about it and ask questions about it before you can actually believe it's something that's going to work for you. Christianity have not worked for Africa. We all know that. But a lot of people are flourishing in it. They are making money out of it. So it's a no-go area. You should be ready. You should be ready for the banter or death if you are ready to tackle it.
Exactly. You know, Richard, in one of the shows I said, you want to be John the Baptist, because when the twin come, they will take your head. They will say, you know, that's what happened when John the Baptist said, question the action of the king. Why are you taking your brother's wife? I want your head, man. You understand? That's what happened. John the Baptist had to die. It's been like that. Are you ready to be John the Baptist? That's why I say to people who want to say something, if you want to say something, then be ready to be John the Baptist, because you could be beheaded.
I mean, the reason we have a lot of uneducated illiterates, because they step in the classroom or they step on the lecture hall, does not make them educated, because education has got something attached to it. The knowledge you gain, what you've learned, how you put what you've learned into practice. You see, if you only went to the classroom or went to the university, come out and was fortunate enough to have the contacts to be in a particular job, you don't even understand what is going on. You can call yourself educated, yes, but you are illiterate because you don't know exactly what's going on around you.
Exactly.
You must know what's going on around you. You must know the implementation. You must be implementing something. You must be reporting to someone. You must be marked on something that's achieved. If for some corrupt or uncivilized societal circumstance, you are moving through, getting paid, enjoying the benefits of that institution or company, it's someone will call it luck, whatever you can call it. But the point is, you went to school, yes, you went to school just like any other person, but you are not educated. You are not a learned person. A learned person is different.
Still an illiterate.
From someone educated.
We call you are educated. For them, not within you, you're useless. That's exactly. I said this. Richard, and I put it on the literal level. I've gone to this in Nigeria University in Nigeria. They're very close to where I was running my business, and I told them a couple of things. And these are all learned people. They've gone to school, Richard. They've got a degree. They are actually lecturers, and they're poor. And I asked them, but how could you guys be educated and be poor? How come that you're not using your knowledge to try and monetize your knowledge? This is exactly what I asked them. How come you guys are not monetizing your knowledge?
I will say something right here. I was learning something about the gentleman who shot Ishaq Rabin in 1995.
Okay.
He was a university student. He was a science student of the university, not graduated yet. When he got the pistol to use, the handgun to use, he actually did something to the bullet because he was a science student. He was a student then. He was a science student.
Okay.
And he did something because of his knowledge, what he gained so far in school, because he was a munitions expert. He was studying to become a munitions expert. So he did something to the bullet. So once one touches the man or catches him, you can't survive because he added extra lead to it. That is knowledge. He's acquired knowledge.
Yes.
You see, we have lecturers.
Wow.
We have lecturers in our African universities. Lecturers with mechanical engineering degrees and PhDs and so on and so forth. They don't know what the difference between combustible engine and how the electric vehicles run. Meanwhile, they are teaching it. They are teaching it theoretically.
They are teaching it. That's the problem. They're teaching it.
So if they have to take their cars to the mechanic because the battery fails to jump.
Yeah, the battery is down. So it's not part of them. They are engineers. They are not technicians. You can hear them.
Well,
somebody tell you he's an engineer, he's not a technician. That's already the beginning of it.
You will need to practice what you are preaching. You will need to.
They don't even understand it, Richard. Because anything you're told, because the science is the same, the law of physics, as it is in the Newton law, action and reaction are equal and opposite. It's the same around the world, it's the same thing you'll be taught. But people adapt it to their own society. We don't. We don't learn. We don't relearn the knowledge. You know, you go to school, they were taught something. Our lecturers have not actually relearned and unlearned, and that's the problem. You know, so they have not been able to pass on that. That is our education system alone. But Richard, we'll come down to the education later. But let's look at one important thing that is actually trending now. I didn't want to go into it, but let's look at the African culture. Let's stick there first, because I want to look at it from the African point of view today. You see, Richard, we were told, I know this is a sensitive thing, the women don't like me here. We were told that it is wrong to marry more than one wife. And that is the practice we're all practicing today. But in the African traditional religion, it's okay to have as many wives as long as you can take care of them. Now, those people that are saying we should marry one wife, they are busy cheating. You hardly see somebody who is in a marriage that stick to the marriage without going out. Anytime you say you're married more than one wife in the African context, you are already, I don't know what to call you. But look at it, Richard. If you are a Muslim today, the West will not say anything if you have 4 wives. They live with them. In Saudi Arabia, they know they have 4 wives. It's their culture, it's acceptable. But when it comes to the African culture, you're already barbaric. Where is this coming from, my brother?
You see, that traces back to the same religious ideology. I remember there's evidence that there was a huge population of Christianity in Japan, which you will not find today. They were
In
chased
Japan,
out.
right?
Yes. They were chased out because they nearly disseminated their culture, their way of belief. They threw them away. Japan is one of the richest countries on the planet, one of the most civilized countries on the planet, one of the most law-abiding countries on the planet.
Yeah.
In fact,
But
all things being equal, they can be number 2.
Yes.
In fact, so when something is imposed on you, that thing will not be imposed on you just like that. There will be a precedent. Something will come first, and through that one, you'll be told, so you can do this. That was the introduction of the Bible. In fact, as much as they try to massage the Bible never mentioned do not marry more than one. It's nowhere in the Bible.
No,
It doesn't say that. But these are some of the extra commentaries that were added to it. There were some of extra commentaries. These commentaries were people's perception. It was people's ideas. If the Bible, say for instance the Bible is divine, these kind of words does not appear in the Bible. So why do we take heed of it? Because we didn't think about it. What does a man marry more than one wife lose from someone marrying more than 2 wives? Or a man who show me he's got 1 wife but have 3 girlfriends? Who is deceiving who? What kind of culture do we have in the country of the person who came to me? You see, all because there was no one to ask questions, and we are still not asking questions. And the question 1 is in the Bible, that's the pretext. The question is 2, our society. What benefits our society? It's us. Things that happen in Africa are done by people living in Africa. Things are done in Europe are done by people living in Europe. You cannot combine the 2 and make it okay. There's a reason why some of us are black, some of them are blue. There is a reason for that. And that reason must be respected and maintained. But it's being overridden. The overridden is because of the same thing. Illiteracy. When we became literate, that time there was no education. Now we are educated, and we are supposed to be literate.
Yes.
One fundamental distinct of being a literate, a learned person, is to have critical thinking, to have it under your belt. You should be able to critically analyze everything around you. You should be asking questions. Critical thinking is nothing. It's not rocket science. It's about asking questions, understanding in your own way. Don't just take it.
And that's why when you're in school, they said they want your own take on this. You understand? No, this is it. We don't want to know that. What is your own thinking on it? It may be wrong, it may be right, but what do you think? What do you make out of it? In fact, that's why we're doing this today, Richard. There don't really have our own take. Yeah, go.
There are a lot of wayward children today in Africa. When their father, who might be well-to-do, when they pass away, because of the borrowed culture that we cannot marry more than one, and the man is afraid of bringing the child he's given outside of the home. When he dies, the child loses and becomes wayward. All these are part of the things that we have borrowed. If you cannot legislate, if we cannot legislate by law, no one is supposed to have an affair after their marriage.
Yes.
If you cannot do that,
yes.
If you can do that, then yes, it's all right because there's a law that forbids anyone married from having another affair.
Yes.
Because if there's a change in culture or belief that you cannot marry one, you cannot marry more than one, but there is nothing. The law or the tradition is silent on how many girlfriends you can have. You see, so this is becoming a problem on top of a problem, all because of our own doing.
You can marry one wife, but you can have a million girlfriends outside. The only problem is you can marry 2 wives.
It's silent. The law is silent on it. It's, even the traditional commentary is silent on it, and it has become gradually a normal thing. But that normality, the same way we've accepted that normality, should have been the same way we have the thought about why can't I marry more than one? What is wrong with marrying more than one wife? These are the questions. What will I lose from marrying more than one wife? And I answered one of them for you. When the Bible came, they needed money. They needed people to work in the church. If you have two wives, you're going to be busy. If you have two wives, you pay more. You see, your money goes. These are little things you might think is not necessary, but that was the idea of the people. Imagine that I will say something here. Imagine there are several coup d'etats around the world that the president or the whoever was the head of state left the country because there was a radio station that said the country has been taken over. Physically, they have not taken the country over, but it was all meant that psychological warfare was part of it. Your military, it's some of the things look like a joke. When you look at the archives, when you study the archives, some of the archives today, it looks like a joke. When some of the military officers, the top hierarchies, are giving alcohol and secretly their voices are recorded and played on the radio that they are resigned, they have deserted the government, they have deserted the president, when they've not actually lifted a gun.
Yes.
These are some of the little stories, the psychological stories that affected a lot of people, a lot of head of states. There was no one at the national TV station or the national radio station to announce they have taken over. They played it in some radio station that fellow countrymen, the country has been taken over, the president have been arrested, but the president was meanwhile on his way out of the country. No one has taken over the country. They scared you away. It happened in the last country it happened was in the Central American country of Guatemala. That's how they got rid of the country, the country's leader, who was a socialist. You see, they couldn't fight, but in the middle of the struggle, they had a radio station to do that bidding. You see, it worked. It worked. This is where we are. We are lost because we have not learned. After we were educated, we have not learned. After we were educated, we have not unlearned. After we were educated, we have not relearned. We have to go through this process. The learning is a process.
Yes.
It goes on with us. We learn. We have to learn all the time.
It's all the time. That's how invention come to place. You have to learn.
The world is evolving. The world is evolving. Things are happening. Things are happening day by day. Every day there's something going on. So if you are interested in being a position to serve people, if you're in a position to be of change to people, you have to be ready to learn. You can't just think what you learned in some college in 1995 is still valid today. I'm afraid it might be valid, but it might need to be.
You need to let's relearn it. You know, when you relearn, because if you add to what you already taught, then you are actually contributing to knowledge, which is relearning and adding to knowledge. It's too important. But what is given to you is what you come to pour. It's like it's rote learning. Rote learning has no place. It has never had a place, even when we're kids, and see have no place now. Richard, let's go to one other aspect of it before we're going to go on the short break. Let's look at leadership, governance in Africa. You understand? Before the white people came, we had a system of government. The traditional system of government, they were the kings and they were the chiefs in some places. But what is important, Richard, for me is, as at that time, there was rule of law. Rule of law is what was synonymous with what is happening in Europe today. The king, when they say something, you obey. If you don't, you get the treatment. And everything went on track. Yes, there were pressure here and there, the way it is still in Europe, but there was a rule of law in our traditional system of government. Then they came and they said, hey, this system of government is barbaric. This is what you need to do now. And we've dropped everything we know to come to a system that we don't know. Now we have anarchy in our land. One problem in Africa today is rule of law. Is it true that because this is alien to us, or because we have not actually relearned and unlearned democracy?
The way I wanted to answer this question is quite takes it back to the same thing. When you look at any surviving or any flourishing democracy or a system of governance ruled by any consistent country, a civilized country, you can see it is well blended with their own culture and traditions. That's what the fundamental you see. They have come from somewhere,
but they build it into their own.
They build it into their own. The system of democracy in Europe is different from each other. If you go to the Netherlands, if you go to the United States, if you go to Japan, if you go to Italy, you name it, Germany, they all have a different way that blends into their tradition. Because nobody took it from one place and dumped it on another place. This is the reason why we are still struggling. Because
Nigeria went to copy presidential system of government. Boom.
Imagine Nigeria have two houses, right? Nigeria have two houses.
Yes.
Those two houses. Yes. What is the Nigerian president and the houses? What are they ruling? They are ruling the land. Are they not ruling the land?
Yes.
They are ruling the land. The senators don't have land. The governor don't have land. The ministers don't have a land. The president don't have a land. The land belongs to the chiefs and the kings. Is that right?
Yes.
So how can we be ruling a country and we don't have a place for these people, the landowners? We don't have a place for them where they will be discussing what goes on. This is
their friends of their own. Richard, I think it would have been an advantage. I was saying to them, you know what I was saying to them? That Richard, look at what funny thing in Nigeria. We now have the federal system of government. So we have the federal government, we have the states, we have 36 states in the country, and we have 774 local governments. Now, these 774 local governments, if they had even allowed the kings to be the head of those local governments, so we have the federal, the state, and the kings, the system would have been effective. Now, this is the problem, Richard. When you want to do business, and it has something to do with the land, you still have to go, whether you have a local government, you still have to go through the kings who have the land to negotiate and plan with the local people before you can do things. I mean, you are paying local government and the kings have no place. Of course, they'll be reduced to nothing.
Bureaucracy.
Of course, they've come to accept that.
Bureaucracy.
And so all the important things, the important ingredients of our culture, which the kings and would have been able to bring in, are missing in this new democracy.
If you want people to be responsible, give them a duty. If you want people to be responsible, you give them a duty. That's the only way you're going to check them. You check on them. I cannot believe it's not only in Nigeria, it's in Ghana, it's in several African countries where the kingship and the chieftaincy staff is very flourishing or very potent. Okay,
yes, I know.
These are the landowners. They are the landowners. The kings, the chiefs are the landowners. The minister of natural resource, the minister of land don't have a land.
Exactly.
You don't have a land. What are you governing? Exactly. What are you governing? There's going to be a deficit in negotiations, in making people responsible and doing all these kind of things. The Houses of Lords in England was originally built for landowners. They have to bring their input on what to be done. You cannot rule on behalf of someone who owns something, but the person don't have an input. You're not saying nothing. I did not hear you. Because one of the houses must have these landowners' input. And it's not going to be by choice. It's going to have to be demarcated, bring them in, let them sit in the house, let them decide on some of the issues. This is where we have a balance of power. If you continue to use politicians in the upper house and use politicians in the lower house, what are you going to get? The same idea, the same deadly idea, the same poison. That's what you're going to get. When the landowners hold the communities hold them accountable, little by little like that. But when it goes bigger, how many Nigerians in a certain state or a certain place have met their governor before? It's unusual.
Very few.
And their chiefs, their kings and their chiefs organize their best. They go to them,
Yes.
they talk, they live next to each other, and they can have the interaction. These people are the best placed people to send the message back to the politicians. In Africa, they have been sidelined because when the French and the Americans came, the Americans don't use the same, Americans don't have the chiefs and the kings. They don't have it.
No.
So they brought the same thing to us. They are not necessary. And that people, if you make those people necessary and you turn around to go to them to ask for land to build projects, you're going to start paying bribes because you refuse them their rightful place. It depends on where you are coming from. But learning from your mistakes is part of the wisdom, it's part of the knowledge. When you learn from your mistakes, it's part of the knowledge. When you stiff neck on what you believe, then you are becoming educated illiterate. You are illiterate because you are lacking behind. Things are going on. People are learning. People are knowing things. Knowledge is increasing. New things are coming. You can't stay where you are and think you are clever. You are not clever. You can be a professor, but you are a cake. You are backwards. You see, all these latest stuff, like from the last 15 or 20 years, the computers, the iPhones, the applications we use on our phones, TikTok, Facebook, and all these kind of things, they were made by human beings. They were made by human beings to advance communication. These are made to advance communication. How are we advancing the development of our country? Are we doing it in such a way that we can only be the beneficiaries of the l'argent of the country? What are we going to do different? Don't we know you cannot dictate for people who own something? I own it. You give me a suggestion. You don't dictate to me. You suggest to me. Bring these kings, these landowners into politics. Bring them. They are going to be more responsible and they are going to be more effective. And they will carry the stories back and forth to make a better Africa or Nigeria.
Thank you very much. So we're gonna go on a quick break. And when we come back, we're gonna look at those of us in the diaspora, Africans in diaspora. Depends on how much you see yourself as an African, but for me, as long as your skin is like my own, you're an African. We're gonna be looking at that. And perhaps we're gonna look at what happened currently in the United Kingdom. I'm going to bring in the issue of Kenny. I want to talk about certain things. Whether those of us, now we're going to blame those even in Africa if they have even been liberated. For those of us here, are we? I use the word liberated. Maybe use the most simple word. Have we learned and unlearned and relearned? We'll do that when we come back on the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Find your sanctuary in the heart of the city. Live the life you deserve in an exquisite apartment. Srtv Luxury Shortlet Apartment, Lagos, is a place where your comfort is rest assured. Welcome to Srtv Shortlet Apartment, part of the prestigious Srtv Real Estate family. Why choose us? Prime location, nestled in the heart of Lagos, close to key attractions, business hubs, and vibrant nightlife. Modern interiors, fully furnished, stylish apartments designed to provide the ultimate comfort. Luxury redefined, vacation perfected. 24/7 security. Enjoy peace of mind with round-the-clock security and CCTV surveillance. Top-notch amenities, high-speed Wi-Fi, smart TV, air conditioning, fully equipped kitchen, and lots more. Perfect for business travelers, family vacations, romantic getaways, special events, and more. Book your stay today and experience Lagos like never before. Call +234 8143 582856 or +447 4388 93190, or email us at realestate@superiorradiotelevision.com. Srtv Shortlet Apartment, where comfort meets luxury.
All right, welcome back, people. Welcome back. This is the weekly bulletin. My name is Daddy Chris, and I've been with my boy Richard. We've been looking at who is an educated illiterate. I know it looks simple, it looks difficult, but it's something we need to deal with. Have you questioned things around you? You know, I mean, it's easy to talk about the whole system, but if you don't start by questioning things around you, why are you doing certain things you do? Perhaps I'm dressed like this today because I find it convenient. I like it. Oh, I'm like crazy, yes. If it makes me feel good, it's a new culture that I've learned, I've added to what I do. I think it's a good thing. Where it is a problem is when you don't know why you're doing certain things. And that is why we are where we are today. And like I said, those of us in Africa may be forgiven. I'm going to add Richard shortly. Those of us in Africa may be forgiven. But those of us in Europe, your sins can hardly be forgiven because you have the opportunity to learn and relearn. You're going to say those in Africa didn't have exposure, you have it. They don't have the freedom, you have it. They don't have anything, you have it all. So you're going to tell me why you are not relearning. And I'm going to, that brings me back to Richard. Richard, you're welcome back. And now to those of us in the diaspora. We are in Europe. Most of us are in the United States. And we're creating a path for ourselves and perhaps our children. It's going to be a new story. It's going to go back to where we're coming from. I'm sure this is going to be the new home for very many of us, if not for us, for our children. What part are we taking to have a place in where we find ourselves? That is what I would say, right? We are in it's a new dispensation. And that brings me to the issue of, I was impressed, I was happy. Let me make it a little bit, let me bring it a little bit closer. I was happy when I saw Our Lady, now the next Tory leader in the United Kingdom. Beautiful lady, welcome. Yes. But Richard, I was surprised when I saw the first interview. I was the first to congratulate her on our platform. I saw her first interview when they asked her about reparation, and this woman just trashed everything about us. And I was wondering, okay, is she afraid? Is she trying to get the votes? Is she trying to get acceptance? Is that why the issue? They ask her whether she will be happy as an African, somebody from that region, to address the issue of reparation. He said no, that we British must look after ourselves first. That let's be clear. In fact, I can't wait to play that video, and I just don't want to bring her. And I think she'll be somewhere where she is now, quoting herself and thinking about her response. It's one thing, and in fact, the interviewer went as far as helping her up. Say, but for somebody like you, who is from that background, one will expect that you'll be able to be more sympathetic to the issue, because they are only saying that we did some damages when we went there. And she said no, that the British actually did a lot of good things. Of course, she was on the defense. What's your take with this beautiful woman?
I missed a few days of TV. What was going on their TV, but I eventually saw when she won the Tory leadership, and I could see nothing more than the old tactics. I don't think the Tories actually want to put her as a prime minister of the United Kingdom. I don't really believe that. We've got 4 years of labor, 5 years of about 5 years of labor now. Who knows how good they are going to do, because Tories have done a lot of bad things to social services in this country where a lot of people depend on. So they are thinking, I am getting into them to say they are thinking, we need an accepted person, people who will be accepted by the people when the time comes for the real leadership, the real competition that's going to the polls. 5 years on the fence is going to be difficult for her. She is going to go before the general election.
Election.
We need someone to occupy the position. We need to prepare someone more suitable for that position. Everything she's saying is a textbook. I mean, the fact is that money is not going to come from, if you have to support reparations, that money is not going to come from the pocket. That money is not going to come from Tory parties' savings on their pockets. It is a rightful thing to support. Bad things were done. Slavery is one of them. Destruction of land, especially in Nigeria. If you look at what Shell and BP have done to Nigeria, we all know it. There's not been any proper address to this. So when this question is asked, trying to swerve it, your own fellow people know what you're saying is wrong. You don't have to categorically snub it. You are a politician. You know how to swindle it. You should know how to swindle it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I am not happy for her to be the leader because she's going to be a prime minister. Because they've done it before. They prepare ways. There are people to prepare ways. Britain,
For the main one to come. Like John the Baptist. Preparing
they
way
did
for
not,
Jesus.
they did not put her there because they think she's going to get a lot of Nigerian votes. Because from that interview, she lost Nigerian votes. That's not why they put her there.
She lost it.
You see? So the question is, why was she put there? She was put there to prepare way. They won't put their best card on the opposition now.
No.
It's not politically wise. You go 5 years, probably 10 years of Labour government. So what will you do to prepare the way? Who is the best sacrificial lamb? She will be. A few ones there. Yeah.
It makes her look good. It makes her look good for now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know what in fact, what really annoyed me from what you were saying, and it's not me being an African, and I can understand that. When you were saying that, okay, that I was expecting that, okay, if you say that the thing is a thing of the past, how come that the money the African countries are owing you now are not a thing of the past? Your parents, when they took something and it's a thing of the past, and our parents borrowed money from you, it should be a thing of the past too. If that is the case, the money we borrowed, we owe you, should be a thing of the past. If what you did to us is a thing of the past, then you dragging our testicles, dragging for money that we're owing, and yet you cannot pay for what you have done. And this is a big change.
It was a blunder. It was a blunder between the time the Germans paid reparations to the state of Israel. It was a thing of the past. There was no money borrowed. They didn't borrow money from them. You see, the Germans did not borrow money from them. Few countries are paying reparations. It's not money borrowed. It's not a loan.
Exactly.
So, and they are all in the past. So, if you want something to say, like I said, as a politician, you can massage stories. You can go around stories, especially now that you are not in government. You can push it back to the current government.
Exactly.
They have to, you support it. They have to start initiating it.
It's up to them. It's not you see, it would have been easy. It's not the labor are in power now. I'll leave that to them.
Support it. Yes.
We're not in power yet. Yes. We're not in power yet. It's up to the government. You can just snub it and then you're free. And like you already said, the king of Belgium killed 15 million Congolese. How many Jews were killed? Sorry, when we said that, 15 million Congolese in one go. 15 million. And today we're here, and we're not even thinking of that. But at least, if nothing else, can you forgive some of the debts of this country? They are poor, they are hungry. People are poor. And it's because of the people, or the uneducated illiterates you put on there.
Chris, when anyone make an assertion of the poverties in Africa and all those kind of things, the West is very much aware of it. And this is how they flourish. If we all stand in the same length, I'm afraid it's not too good for them. So asking for reparation is one thing. Forcibly trying to build your own country to compete is another thing. Because competition is good for everyone, especially the customer or the client. But to say, for her to vividly snub that question and make it unnecessary is a no-go. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad because that question was not specifically for you today. It was for you when you were in power.
Exactly.
It was not for you today. Will you support it? Yes. It's not your money.
And this is the thing. I know the way she was in trap. These were the kind of question you should expect as a black person, especially from African origin, of this of this generation, if you come to power, that's one of the things they're going to ask you. And how you deal with it, you should be prepared before you even run for this office.
She made the mistake of who to support. That's the thing. She made the mistake of who to support. The person to support at that time was who was going to vote for her to be a prime minister, not the people she's going to use in her cabinet if she ever can become a prime minister. That is where she confused herself with, because there's only about 20 maximum people in the cabinet who are going to vote for you, and you have millions of people outside who will be voting for you. So you choose one. She unfortunately made the wrong choice.
Well, we'll be coming to that. And then, generally, Richard, what do you think we Africans in the diaspora can do now that our nation and the African nation, I'm talking about African nations, are in this array? Because one, the bottom line, the language is still, we have too many uneducated, educated illiterates, not uneducated. They are educated illiterates. Very many are educated illiterate. What is the way forward at this point?
The problem is not really the educated illiterates are part of the problem, but the problem is the youth and the educated, the learned ones within the educated society. We find ourselves lost somehow, where to go, how to go, and sometimes, a lot of times, we relax our abilities and our minds to look upon or forward to the politicians. When we have vividly acknowledged the failure of these people, the next thing is to depend on ourselves. How do we depend on ourselves? When we are lost in negotiation, international negotiations, when we are lost in what we really want, when we are giving our concessions, our minerals to foreign countries with 10% benefit to us, we are lost in those negotiations. If people come to you to get something, they want it. We need our intelligence is so low that we are fundamentally lacking a lot of things. Negotiation skills, for once. How do you bring people to you to show people you need me, I don't need you? This is very important in on any business negotiation. You don't make people who come to you for business feel they are on top of the agreement. It's the other way around. If the person who is not interested, they are interested, but they're behaving as not interested, they are the ones who walk away with the good deal all the time. You see, when we make the politicians, I keep on saying this, when we hold the politicians as the youth, we hold the politicians, the people of the country, we hold the politicians accountable. We make them feel to change the mindset of feeling they are the masters. If they have to be made to understand they are serving us. If you feel I am nothing to serve, then you go to the private sector. These are some of the little fundamental things that makes the West what it is. Yes. You cannot override what it is. I brought you in. I brought you to power. It's my thumbprint. I brought you to power.
I brought you there. So I can get you out. Yes.
You see, you are serving me, not the other way around. This is the only way they will start behaving. This is the only way the rare people, the very professionals, the technical, we can get the technical people, the professionals in several positions. I can guarantee you there are a lot of positions in Africa that are occupied by people who don't know how to.
Yeah, they are occupied. I mean, Africans our offices are occupied by educated illiterate. That's why I bring the topic. You know, economically we are illiterate. That's why I was going to end the show. You know, we're coming to that.
We can't have people who don't have the know-how occupying positions, delegate positions because of their political affiliations. We cannot do it. It's a no-no. We are only heading towards a coalition because some of these places really need people with technicalities, people with proven records of achievement, to be given the opportunity to serve in certain ministries and certain public sectors. Innovative people who can innovate, change things, people who can, in fact, make things happen. If you are putting people who do not know the time, who don't know what the time it is. They do different things. Their aspirations are there. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the vision, they don't have the focus. They don't know what's going on. They are only occupying the position because of their political affiliations, because of it's a political appointment. And whilst people are not qualified, they waste so much more time than a vacant seat. A vacant seat will be better than putting someone who is not qualified in the seat. So the fact that the person is a doctor, he's got a PhD, he's a professor, what has he achieved? What was his education like?
Yeah, other than to take our girls in the schools, most of the lecturers they don't take our women in school.
And it's okay.
You see, something I was thinking, and it sounds crazy, and that's why I bring in the issue of the diaspora. Would it be out of place if there's another African country called the African in diaspora as a nation? The way we have Ghana, Nigeria, that becomes a nation. We give it a name. And that one kind of set the pace for the African countries, because we have too many African nations, most of them not viable, maybe viable, but not well managed, so they become, right now they are not viable, not because of the resources that are not there, but they are not viable. The question is, can we go back there and tell them what to do, or should we set up a government of Africans in the diaspora that will be economically viable, that will be politically viable, socially viable, culturally viable, and begin to infiltrate that into the system?
Well,
having an African president in the diaspora that speaks for Africa, because these people cannot speak for us. They are not there. And with this nation I'm talking of now, is if any Africans you are anywhere in the world and you choose to be part of this nation, we register you virtually. You become a part of that nation virtually. We may not have the physical land, but the whole of Africa is our land. And we begin to tell them what to do. Would it be out of place? I mean, I'm just thinking,
You see, by virtue of deliberate or indeliberate, the demarcation of Africa many centuries ago is part of our problem. We don't understand each other. We don't understand each other, and that is part of the problem. Hypothetically, putting a new country within Africa is impossible, except you dig into the sea to do it. But what you are saying needs a lead. That's why I keep on saying the resource, the at least the level of education, the infrastructure. One country have to take the lead. One existing country already needs to take the lead and make it happen.
Don't forget about Nigeria, because they're not ready to take the lead. Nigeria is not the country to take the lead at this point. You see what Kwame Nkrumah was saying. Kwame said, I remember in one of those, Kwame Nkrumah was telling them, we must not leave this place until we have one country. One country. This vision of United States of Africa was bettered by Kwame Nkrumah years ago, and he fought for it. The man to marry from Ghana, he went to take a wife from Egypt.
He led by example. However, the powers that were behind were stronger than him. These same powers still exist. That's why.
That was what he was fighting against.
This is the reason why now it cannot go through the OAU. The OAU is a sleeping dunk. It does nothing.
Forget that one. They turn it to AU now, which makes more sense.
As long as
AU was the most stupid one. Now AU reform would have been making more sense, but they're not still ready.
No, they're not ready because of two things. They are still French. They are still French in it. They are still French in it. If you want to take control of a man's head, you have to first take care of their stomach. If you make him hungry, when you say anything, they will listen to you. The French is a block to African Union. Unfortunately, when you look at the way it's been demarcated, they are within every 2 or 3 English-speaking country with different ideologies, not having their central bank. That's why I say they have to come from one country. One country have to be powerful. One democratic country in Africa, a true democracy. That's why all the hallmarks look like Nigeria fits the post properly.
That's the hope. But hey, look at what is going on.
fitted because they've got the resource, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the educational facilities and educated people to start with. Because it should be something that is a people's democracy. It shouldn't be a puppet. It could be democracy, but it could be a puppet. But it could be a true functioning democracy. A democracy that's by the people, a democracy that's accepted by the people, a democracy that is thriving. They will take the lead, not OAU. If you go to OAU, you talk too much, and they will find you. And when they find you, they will take you away.
Exactly.
When Nkrumah was saying this, he was saying it boldly, but he did not know he was speaking against people's actual core, the core of people's existence.
But Kwame knew that too. Kwame knew that. Kwame was just brave because Kwame was saying that we should come out with one army. That was why they didn't even wanted him. Then we should come with one currency.
He knew it. He had the vision and he knew the consequences of it. What he didn't know was he thought Africa would protect him when if his death was coming from a foreign country. He didn't. The last thing he thought was it was going to come from within.
It's true.
That was where the difference was, because it would have been very difficult to kill his ideologies if we knew how involved the CIA was in the planning of that coup d'etat that removed him from power. So if you look at it, it was because of the shaky governance in Ghana itself. We did not have a democracy in Ghana at that time. Well, there was a Mickey Mouse one with the elections that brought him to power. But whilst he was flourishing, he tried to change the terms so he can implement his ideology, which was perfect, not for only Ghana, but for the whole of the diaspora of the countries in Africa. What we need now to change our destiny is Africans to believe we don't really have borders. We didn't make our borders.
No,
Africa didn't make our borders.
Exactly. These own borders. In fact, look at it. You see, that's what the borders is rubbish. Look at the currency. Ghana cedis, Nigerian naira. The other ones don't even have money. The other countries they use French money. When French have left the money, you know what's so funny? French have left that money to euro. Why they not using euros? Why they not using euros? If French loves you guys.
That's where you can see how the French have dipped into the mindsets of the French-speaking countries. That's why, because it's not as bad as the English ones are. Yes. The French are worse. Okay, they used to use French franc, and you used to use African franc. Now they move to European euros.
Euro, yeah.
Why don't you move to if they truly care about you?
They love you so much. Why don't they move you? No, even the Commonwealth too. The Commonwealth ain't carrying us along. We only come there one day in the year to celebrate Commonwealth with the king, of course, as the head, and then we'll go home hungry.
If you look at every African country today, every French-speaking country today, there's none of them whose government is not backed by the French, the state of France. There's none of them. It's all propelled by the state of France. If you do not support the state of France, you cannot be a president in an African French country, in any Francophone country. This is why it is
left us alone to some extent.
It is very simple. It is very simple. You used to use the French franc, and we have an African franc. We use your national bank. So now you gone to Europe. You are using the Central Bank of Europe.
Yeah.
So France don't really have a central bank.
No.
They have their central bank is the Bank of Europe. European Bank.
So where are you? Where are you? You've been left, and you're still there.
So they've left you, but you're still following. The person said, "Don't follow me. I'm gone."
I'm not.
And you are still sitting waiting for the person.
And they follow their own, and you cannot even follow your own. That's the thing with the French Africans. They follow their own.
I mean, it's when people write things on the paper. If you made an agreement with my great grandfather, if you made an agreement with my great grandfather, and that property is still in my hands in Africa, how is the French going to take the house or the building from France, from Africa to France? No, we need our destiny. Means our destiny. Our destiny includes our currency. This is how we start managing our economy. When Kwame Nkrumah was saying that, it was so difficult. He knew it was very difficult. Who was he speaking to? He wasn't speaking to the British. He wasn't speaking to America. He was speaking to France. Because the French have infiltrated right in the core of Africa. They never left it. They never left Africa. They are still there. They are holding them.
These French baggers refuse to leave Africa.
They're holding them. So we cannot really, the whole of Africa cannot come together because there is the French aspect to Africa, to Black African continent. There is the French aspect to it. There's no reason why there should be nothing called safer still in Africa. You see, when you spread, in fact, the West African, the ECOWAS have done their passport. They need to do the currency. If we come together, they need to do the currency. They can't do the currency.
Yes.
What currency are you going to do? Ghana will not join safer. We have a central bank. Nigeria will not join the safer because they have a central bank.
We're not going there. They're not going to go there. They're not going to go there. We're not going there.
But unfortunately, you are bordered by the French people. How do you come together to build your economy? We are together, but we have different ideologies. Someone is getting their ideas from somewhere. When we are thinking, there is a Frenchman, a white Frenchman inside it. Not physically, but there's someone there, just like the French Prime Minister is sitting there. And these are their bread and butter. They buy French cars, they buy French-made stuff. You can't get a contractor from any other country except the French have to approve it. If you're selling something, the French have to buy it. You can't sell it outside if you want, and then they will find a buyer from Europe. It's a whole lot of. It's too difficult. We've only find ourselves in a very difficult angle. What we need in at least West Africa is for one English country to rise up and rise up against, because it looks like the French cannot do it themselves. The Francophone countries cannot do it themselves. They need an African leader
to take them out of their bondage. They're in bondage. And unfortunately, Nigeria is not helping matters here. We just hope that Ghana will be able to pick it up, because that's what Kwame was doing for us. It wasn't coming. The liberation of the West African coast didn't come from Nigeria. And I want to say, I'm sorry that we're not going to wait for Nigerians to do this. Kwame Nkrumah said this on the day of its independence, Ghana independence, that the independence of the Gold Coast will be meaningless until the rest of the West African coast is liberated. I didn't hear that from a Nigerian fighting for independence. It came from Ghana. And maybe that's where the destiny might be. We might be looking somewhere. God might have it somewhere else. I don't know. But that's something, a food for thought. I am quoting history. And you know, this is we're talking about today. Bob Marley was crying. He said how pleasant it would be to see the unification of all Africans. In that tribe, Africa unite. You know, when you grow up, so that time we thought Bob Marley was just singing. And now when you listen to what the man was saying, and you're wondering, hey, how could he be seeing that at 30-something years old? He died at 30-something. But Marley saw all. He spoke about it all before he left. Today, what Kwame and Bob Marley said is something we could not learn and relearn, because it's not as if they're telling us to go and learn it. It's been taught. We've been taught. We refuse to put it to practice.
We, unfortunately, after some years, we have been so greedy and unthoughtful of the continent. We've been so particular about individualism, and we have not gone to hang ourselves to bring a lasting prosperity to our continent. So the quest to do things separately, that country is trying to be okay for themselves, to trying, not doing it. This is gradually pushing Africa, the mentality and the maps of Africa down the drain, because we are not working together for Africa. In fact, in the last 5 years or the last 10 years, I'm not sure if I've heard any African leader, president, speaking vividly from their heart why Africa is still a separated country.
No, they dare not. They dare not.
Because
they're scared. It's
They are
not.
very
It's not. It's a no-go area for them. It's a no-go area for them.
they
Forgive
they
them.
want their presidency better than the betterment of the continent. Their presidency
Yes.
is enough for them.
It's more. Yeah, I agree. Richard, yesterday, my friend. Yes, yesterday, my friend came to my studio here in Golders Green. He's working with the Thames Water, so he went to inspect a project in the area here, which is a movie, and he saw the massive space they took there for a train station. And he said, he asked them, how long is it going to take? He said, between 30, 40 years, from now. None of these people there may be alive. See, Africans only do shallow projects. Shallow. When I say shallow, we don't think of what's going to happen 100 years down the line. And it's affecting our education, our economy, our politics. We don't see beyond now. And that's why when we are not prepared for tomorrow, when today is finished, we don't see what's going to happen tomorrow. Perhaps that is one other area, Richard, that really disturbs me. I don't know how this is going to work out. We don't think beyond today. If you see any project done in Nigeria today, it's the next
For the next election.
Next. Oh, Tinubu is only talking. Anything Tinubu is saying today is about 2027. He wants to win the election, otherwise he doesn't bother the old man. But you will never see a British project that is going to look at 5 years. They look at the long term. There's society being built. We can keep blaming it as much as we want. It is our people that refuse to learn and unlearn and relearn. That is not an issue of the white man anymore. That has something to do with us now, Richard. Do you agree?
You see, I go on, and my take on that is, if the youth, the people of the continent, Nigeria, Ghana, wherever it is, continue to look at the politicians to clear their own mess, to clean it, it's not going to happen. They are flourishing in it. The lawlessness is beautiful. It's working for them. So you do not expect them to hang themselves. They have to be hung by someone else, because they will not stop it. It's not in their best interest to stop it. Who is not benefiting from it? The mass numbers, the number of people are not benefiting from it. If something is going on that about 60 or 70% of the population are benefiting from it, irrespective of how you see it, then it means it's a good thing. But if something is going on and over 80% of the people are suffering from it, it's common sense. It's not a good thing. So where are the people who are suffering from it? What are you doing about it? Are you going to pray to God that one day these people will die so it will stop?
Exactly. They're not going to
One
die.
monster dies, another one
They're not
pops up.
going to die. Go and read the
They're not
Bible.
going to die. Your wish is not the wish of the Creator.
Yes.
The fact that someone is doing something wrong doesn't mean they're going to die tomorrow. They can outlive you. You will die.
They do outlive us. Even when you read the Bible, Richard, it was God Himself devising a way to defeat kings. The kings were not going to be defeated. Once a king gets to power, God has little control, because God does not control the earth. He leaves it to you to control.
That's how it works.
Come and kill the king.
So my plea as always, the cause of the youth, the protesters, they cannot stop just because they've not got what they want. This is what it's about. You don't expect them, the way they are swimming in riches and taking the money and doing all that. You don't expect them to subside easily. They are enjoying it. They won't go easily. You the one who want them to stop the wrongdoing, have to show you really mean it. If you don't mean it, they're not going to just slide out and
with one words of mouth. Hey, we don't want you. We'll give it to you.
That is one of the problems we will be we have to understand. Some people must rise up and change the course of Africa, change the narrative from the people who have learned something and they are not ready to relearn or unlearn for the benefit of the future. The future is all we have. Yesterday is gone.
Yes. Thank you very much, Richard. What
Thank you.
a way, or what a place to try and hang up this show. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Richard. And I really want to, I don't want to dilute this last message that nobody can change it. Nobody's going to, these guys are comfortable. In fact, I'm going to quote one former governor in Nigeria, El-Rufai. El-Rufai said, nobody's going to give it to you. You're going to take it. Now, how do we take it? It's only the question. Richard said, he's saying that we should be on the street and remain there until these people get out. Another way to take it, like we've seen in Cote d'Ivoire, right now, the Burkina Faso and most of those places, right now, they are there. The military junters came in and they take it over. And you might not like them, Richard, but these young men are doing something better than Tinubu. If you see what's happening in Burkina, the transformation in Burkina, compared to the one happening in Nigeria, you will say, let's go for military. Go and see what the young man has been able to, in fact, he's thinking ahead now. He's thinking ahead, Richard. Today, he has a very big tomatoes farm. We don't want to know, but go and look at the amount of resources coming to Nigeria. You have nothing to show for it. All Tinubu is going to talk about is 2027. You want to win the next election. How do we do this? Do we go back to military? Is that your take, Richard? I will let you say it before we leave.
Military is not the option. Military rule is not the option for the reasons of the continuing years. When military takes over, is another part of
retrogression. We went back again. Yes.
Promoting democracy. I believe in the people's uprising. The people's uprising that put a democratic government down and re-elections.
They're shooting at them. They use gun at them. They shoot at them.
In
Nigeria, the kids rise up and the government will shoot. You see the last case in Nigeria, the government brought underage, and they said they carried the Russian flag and charged them for treason.
You see. Look at the population of Nigeria. Look at the population of Nigeria. The president cannot have prisons for all of them.
I agree. There's no prison for those people.
You see, if the president will try all these tactics, try to circumvent the narrative, but the most important thing is the determination of the protesters. Their determination is more important than what the tactics the government will be using. Look, it is well known that guerrillas win fights. Soldiers don't win fights.
True.
Soldiers are paid to fight. Guerrillas are not paid to fight.
They fight for a cause. Yes.
So when the government can do whatever they want, they can arrest 20 people today, they can arrest 100 people today, they're only going to leave them along the line, somewhere along the line. The government cannot fight on. But it's as the people, we are just not ready. When we are ready, every government who have confronted protesters, zealous, determined protesters, no government have ever been able to stand in front of them. No government. It depends on how determined you are, how determined the protesters are, what they are asking for, their vision, their focus is very important. If you go and get water sprayed, or 4 people get shot, and the rest of you disperse, you've lost. You have to use the blood of those 4 people to encourage yourselves to go forth and die. You won't die, but you will die for a better future for your children. Your life is destroyed whilst you are home. So you're only going to try to see what best can come out after your death. If you want the Nigeria to be the way it is, if you want the suffering you're going through today to continue like the way it is, then you can stay home. Then you can fear the Nigerian soldiers and the police. The Nigerian soldiers and the police have families in your homes, in our societies. When they start killing them, when the government gives them instruction to shoot and kill demonstrators, sooner or later, exactly. one of the paramilitaries' families are going to be caught up in the fire.
Exactly.
And they will feel the pain. And that will be the beginning of the end of the government. But it does not come easy. You have to be zealous. You have to be determined. You cannot do it 1 week, 2 days, and expect it to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I don't, you see, like Richard always know how to nail it. And I thought I don't want to say anything. I don't want to add anything to that. It's really the only way to do this is to be out there fighting for what we have. The truth is this, whether you fight today or not, you're dead already. Now in Nigeria, you can't go on the street. You are not secure. Your child could be kidnapped. You could be kidnapped. And you don't want to die. You are home, but you're dead really because you could be kidnapped. Going out is a risk. Going to school is a risk. Going to do anything in Nigeria, going to nightclub is a risk. Even there's no minor security. So that's how risky your life is. The question is, are you ready to stay at home and die or go out there and face what is there? And I want to say this. Richard, you said something very big, and I want to remind Nigerians. The guerrillas are always going to win. The military can never win a war. If the military could, they would have get rid of Boko Haram. How come the Nigerian government that could not even defeat Boko Haram is defeating all the youth in Nigeria? It doesn't add
But they're
up.
not ready.
Then if we stay there and keep saying it, keep demanding what we want, all we're asking for is good governance. We're not even actually fighting. We say good governance. If they don't give it to us, they're going to get the treatment. And we should give it to them. Thank you very much for this. And I think they've got the message. That's what happens when people learn, relearn, and unlearn. Is that all? When you learn, unlearn, and relearn, that's what you think. And that's why you have somebody like Richard. Richard and learn, unlearn, and relearn. We all need to do that. Thank you very much, Richard. That's why we end the show today. Until next week. I'm going to have Richard now. We are back. So we'll have more of this. Thank you very much, Richard.
See you soon. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Looking for a home away from home in Abuja? Look no further than Srtv Shortlet Apartments. Our fully furnished apartments offers everything you need for a comfortable and relaxing stay. Unwind in spacious rooms with exquisite ambience. Cook delicious meals in our well-equipped kitchen and relax in our comfortable sitting rooms watching your favorite shows. And guess what? 247 Wi-Fi available. But that's not all. Srtv goes extra mile by providing a car to take you around town during your stay. No need to worry about navigating public transportation or hailing taxis. Explore Abuja at your own pace. Book your Srtv Shortlet apartment today and experience the perfect blend of comfort and convenience.
Srtv. Innovative content. Global